Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023 at 6:30 PM. And be held in person and may be available as a live broadcast on Channel 18 or 8. Members of the public with an interest in any portion or specific item on the agenda should plan for in-person attendance. Recording notice, according to Mass law, anyone who intends to record the meeting must first notify the chair, who will then inform the other attendees at the start of the meeting. Anybody? No. If you would all join me with the pledge, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm going to take things a little bit out of order on the agenda. If everyone saw the agenda was on the table there as you walked in. Case PB 2023-06, Eastward Companies submitted a request for a partial release of planning board covenant for Dorset Drive, lots 1, 2, with lot 3 to remain in covenant. The applicant has requested a continuance. So if there's anybody here for that, we will not be hearing any testimony tonight. And given that, we should start with case PB 2020.
We need a motion to continue.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You need to actually, did you read it and open it? You have to open a public hearing, then we have to continue it.
Okay. Case PB 2023, open eastward?
Yep, you have to open it and then we continue it to
Okay,
another date.
all right. Opening the case, Eastward Companies for partial release of planning board covenant for Dorset Drive, lots 1, 2, and 3, with lot 3 to remain in covenant.
So I move that we continue the public hearing to, did they request a date?
They did, September 26th.
To September 26th, no earlier than 6:30 PM.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the first case for the public hearing is case PB 2023-20, continued from 6/27/23, 7/11/23, and 7/25/23. Main Street Stonehorse LLC, through its agent, Attorney William Riley, is seeking a modification of a site plan special permit PB 2019-13 in order to reduce patios and walkways and increase parking. The application is pursuant to the Code of Town of Harwich, 325-55. In accordance with MGL 40A, Section 9, the property is located at 878 Route 28, Assessor's Map 25, Parcel A2. The property is located in the commercial, high-density CH1 zoning district.
Just a point of order. We don't have a sufficient quorum to do your hearing tonight, based on the information that Chill has provided us. We're one short. So, because you're a special permit, so it'd be a modification of a special permit, which would require 5, and we only have 4 members that have attended everything.
Well, what I'd like to do is provide a report for the work that we've done, informational. I mean, we're still not done yet, but we're making a lot of progress. I just wanted to report that to everybody and ask for a further continuance, if that's all right.
Can we accept
think
testimony?
Right, I don't think you want us to accept testimony. I think you can provide the report and did you have it in written form, and wasn't that in our packet?
I provided some of it to Sheila. I'll provide a fuller report, though, so you'll have it for your next meeting. Progress is, they're working there every day, so I'm happy to report. So I would accept your suggestion that we continue this to your next available meeting.
Which is, Shayla?
The 12th is our next meeting, September
I move
12th.
that we continue PB 2023-20 to September 12th, no earlier than 6:30 PM.
That means summer's over?
A second? A second?
Question.
All in
before-
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Apologies.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
No problem. I didn't, just drove 90 whining to get here on time.
Thank you, Bill, sorry.
No problem at all.
That's all right.
And moving to the next case, PB 2023-25, Harwich Fire Association via its attorney William Kroll has applied for a special permit and site plan special permit in order to modify an existing structure and use to accommodate a first-floor nonprofit historical museum and 3 second-floor apartments, along with a reconfigured parking area. The application is pursuant to the Code of Town of Harwich, Sections 325-51, 325-55, and the Table of Uses. The property is located at 203 Bank Street, map 23, parcel B3, in the RR and RL zoning districts. Counselor, good evening.
Good evening, Board. I'm Attorney William Crowell from Harwichport, and I'm representing the Harwich Fire Association this evening for this petition. I have seated with me Bruce Young, the President of the Harwich Fire Association, and also Fire Inspector for the Fire Department. First of all, doesn't the building look great?
Yes,
Yes, it does.
it does.
In a month,
I know.
these
Awesome.
guys have done a tremendous job. All with a building permit. They've not done this, in anticipation of this meeting or anything of that nature. It's with a building permit for exterior renovations only, and that's what they've done. So we're hoping for special permits this evening to be granted so that they can continue, keep the momentum going on the renovation project. As you know, the property is located at 203 Bank Street. And if you can bear with me for a little bit of history concerning the property. I grew up on Long Road, which is 2 roads up from the fire station. There's Gorham Road and then there's Long Road. And my grandparents lived at 200 Bank Street, diagonally across from the fire station. Okay? And in the 50s and 60s, it was an all-volunteer fire department. And on the roof of the fire station was this massive horn, right? And it blasted every day at noontime. If you were walking down Bank Street or were in your house eating lunch or whatever, you would jump out of your chair when this thing went off. Now, what was the horn all about? It was because it was an all-volunteer fire department, and you had to be able to hear that horn blast anywhere in town. There's 7 villages in town. They had a different sequence, a different number of blasts, depending on what village the fire was in. Like if it was 1 blast, I believe that was Harwich Center, or if it was 5 blasts, maybe that was South Harwich or North Harwich. But the volunteer firemen had to hear that anywhere in town. And they were all plumbers, carpenters, worked on garbage trucks, whatever. And these guys would just drop their tools, drop everything, jump in their cars, and race to the fire station on Bank Street to get there in time, throw their gear on. When they had enough guys, they'd jump on a truck, go to the fire, wherever it was. And so the response time wasn't what it is today, okay? But it was really an amazing community effort. I remember Charlie Hall was the chief back then. Bob Hudson was the first certified EMT for the fire department. Prior to that, I just remember an ambulance, but I don't know if anybody was certified. Bob Peterson, who was an excellent EMT, later became chief of the fire department. I believe the station is named after him at this point, or in part.
The new one.
The new one, yes. So in any event, on Long Road, Bob Peterson lived on Long Road. Bruce Young's father lived on Long Road, and he was on the fire department, and you had to get out of the road when you heard the blast, because these guys would come racing down the road to get to the firehouse. So it was a different culture, a different world back then. Now we have just this extremely professional, just can't say enough about them, how good they are, with the response time, the fire prevention, and the EMT units that they have. And one of the girls that I grew up with, her daughter is Leanne Deering?
Yep, Smith.
Leanne Smith, who is, what's her rank?
She's a captain now.
She's a captain in the fire department. So that's pretty cool, pushing the glass ceiling. So, that's the history. Thank you for bearing with me on that. The Howard Fire Association and the Howard Conservation Trust, and we have representatives here from the Conservation Trust here this evening, purchased this property from the town of Howard on December 8th, 2022, last fall, end of the year, for $300,000. Where did that money come from? It came from Robert Johnson's estate and his wife Laurel Johnson's estate. Robert was a fighter and died of brain cancer maybe 10 years ago now? 12 years ago. And money from his estate, and his wife died a year ago, money from her estate were used to purchase, they left money to the Fire Association, and the Fire Association used $125,000 to pay for their share of the $300,000. The Howard Conservation Trust chipped in with $175,000 to make up the $300,000 purchase price, and then all of the renovations you've seen in the last 4 to 6 weeks were funded by the CPC committee from the town to the tune of $325,000, which the fire department has really gone to town on with all the renovations. So this is not a fully funded project, correct?
Correct.
So that CPC money has basically been spent at this point on the exterior renovations, and now they're going to need money for the interior renovations if you folks see fit to grant the special permit. So, all that being said, I just think it's a great community effort by the Fire Association, the Conservation Trust, the CPC, to repurpose this site. It's kind of been suffering from blight, in my opinion, for several years, and they want to repurpose this site for historical purposes and to provide needed housing, which we all know we desperately need in the town. So as far as the petition is concerned, the petitioner requests a special permit for the first floor of the existing structure to allow for a nonprofit museum/historical/educational use, which will include the storage of an antique fire truck. They already have that. It's kind of one of the motivating factors behind all of this, as well as other historical fire apparatus and equipment to educate the public regarding the Howard Fire Department and fighting of and prevention of fires. So in addressing that special permit for the first floor for the museum, let's call it, as you know, certain criteria have to be addressed, and it's, I'm gonna call them HFA for short. HFA's, Howard Fire Association's position is that the proposed museum use will not adversely affect the neighborhood, and I might say that it's the same criteria for the second floor proposed use for multifamily housing. That will not adversely affect the neighborhood. It's our position that it will in fact enhance the neighborhood. It will look better. It's a good community, cultural, historical use. The specific site is an appropriate location for such a use, structure, or condition, since it already was a firehouse, and now it's gonna be a museum for a firehouse. And it had occupants on the second floor, namely firemen, with that cool pole. That as a kid, they let me go down the pole. And now they have occupants in 3 apartments above for service personnel and others. We would submit that there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. This historical use of this property as a fire station with trucks coming out very quickly, people driving in very quickly. It has not, in my opinion, constituted a nuisance or a serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians in the past, and I would submit that it would not constitute that under the proposed use. We have adequate and appropriate facilities for the proper operation of the proposed use. There will be a septic system to the north of the building that we've already run by that proposed area with the Board of Health, with the Board of Health agent, Carrie Schoner. So we're confident that we can provide adequate sewage treatment on the site. That's an explanation. I don't want to go into too much detail, and if you have questions, we're happy to answer the questions, but what they're envisioning for the museum is sort of like the Brooks Academy Museum, that it would be open not on a daily basis, but at specific times when they had the right people there to give tours, explain things, and part and parcel of that is the rental of the units on the second floor will provide the money to run the museum. So it's working together in tandem for the two proposed uses. As far as the multifamily use, the bylaw says that you serve as a special permit granting authority for that as well. And so we're here to ask for that special permit. It has, the bylaw says that 32551Q, that multifamily dwellings must be connected to a municipal water system, which we are. A habitable room, if you look at those plans that were submitted, they have to be no less than 120 square feet and no major width or length or dimension less than 10 feet. That's the case when you look at those plans. They're not huge studios. There's 2 studios and 1 2-bedroom towards the rear, but they meet that criteria. And again, we will have an adequately sized septic system for the number of bedrooms and parking. I believe the parking, off-street parking requires for multifamily 1.5 spaces for studios and 2 spaces for a regular size apartment. So I think we would only need 5 parking spaces for that. And we are increasing from 7 parking spaces to 28 parking spaces. So I'd say we have adequate for that multifamily use. We have adequate off-street parking. And when you look at the plan that was submitted, that was drawn by BSC Group, excuse me, there are features on that trees that would screen the parking from the road, and will provide a sitting area, recreation area, and we're still working in tandem with the Howard's Conservation Trust, which is going to have walking trails going out on that bog. So I would suggest to the board that that's all going to be taken care of together by the fire department and the HFA and the HCT, Howard's Conservation Trust. Again, if you have specific questions on that, that's fine, but that will all be addressed when they apply for their building permit. If you approve a special permit for the site plan, that will all be addressed in the final plans for that building permit. The multifamily use also will be a residential use, which is in conformity with the neighborhood that they're located in. They're in the RR and RL zone. As far as the site plan is concerned, the criteria in the bylaw, if we're expanding or reconfiguring an existing parking lot. We tried to show that on two of the plans that were submitted to show the increase from 7 to 28 parking spaces, which will meet the size requirements under the off-street parking bylaw. And I mentioned that we're taking reasonable measures to provide for screening from the streets and adjoining premises, and have provided for the convenience and safety of vehicular and pedestrian traffic. We've also, with regard to the site plan special permit, requested a waiver in writing that you should have a copy of that, or the chair should have a copy of that. The amount of asphalt is going to be decreased, and it will be located primarily in front of the 3 bays on the front of the building. Anywhere else will basically be permeable materials such as T-base for additional parking. Grass and natural vegetation will be used for handicap trails beginning at the parking area. And again, the footprint of the building is not changing. We're just using the existing building, museum first floor, 3 apartments on the second floor, and keep the parking, the general parking area, but reduce the amount of the asphalt. The hardscape, so to speak, will be decreasing. Finally, if you weren't aware, the select board at a meeting on August 7th, and I have a copy of this letter to give to all of you, but it says, at a public meeting of the select board held on Monday, August 7th, 2023, the board voted to fully support the Harwich Fire Association's renovation at 203 Bank Street, which includes but not limited to 3 bedrooms on the 2nd level. The select board strongly encourages the planning board to approve the special permit application, and it's signed by all 5 members of the board. And we got that too late to include in your packet.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So that's our presentation this evening, and we submit that the requirements for a special permit for the nonprofit museum use have been met. The criteria for multifamily dwelling have been met, and site plan special permit criteria have been met. But basically, that this will not constitute a substantial detriment to the neighborhood. It will not be a nuisance or traffic hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. It will enhance the neighborhood. It will provide another historical type use similar to Brooks Academy, to the Kroll, by Elmer Kroll's bird carving barn, and Brooks Library. Just adds another piece to the puzzle, all of which makes Harwich more attractive and a better community to live in. And we ask that you grant all 3 special permits this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Before I ask for feedback from the planning department, I want to thank you for the history lesson. Being a wash ashore in 2009, I appreciated that, but you didn't tell me whether every time the horn went off, you had to scatter because the horses were coming out of the door?
No, we're good with that, but it was a more agricultural community back then, yes.
Got it. Thank you.
There was a bird that tried to build a nest inside of that horn. And every day, he would get blown out, and then he would start to rebuilding that nest every single
Didn't
day.
learn.
Shayla, anything from the planning department? Comments?
I did give you all a, the staff report, which I shared with council.
Yes.
Would you care to highlight anything on there?
Everything was said that I put in here. The board will need to vote on the waiver. The subject property already has an existing former firehouse, so there's that piece too, and the increase in parking. So you'll have to vote on the waiver. There were no comments from abutters. The applicant must meet the requirements for all special permits as in 32551, which you kind of know by heart probably by now, but I have those listed, and were repeated by Attorney Kroll. I just recommend the board take testimony, and if you receive testimony from everything and everyone, then you can either vote on
Okay.
the 3 special permits plus the waiver, and the findings of fact, as noted in these. We'll continue it until September 12th.
Very good, thank you. Comments or questions from the board?
I just have a couple of
Sure.
questions if I
Sure.
could. I don't remember, when you came before historic, were the apartments all set? I don't remember whether we approved the apartments and the outdoor stairwells and all of that. I just don't remember.
The outside stairwells were approved.
Okay,
They were. The
Alright.
apartments were not, because we didn't realize that we were not zoned for that at the
Gotcha.
time. That's why we're here tonight.
second question, I'm assuming yes is the case, but the increase to 26 parking spaces is sufficient to cover both the museum use and the residential use?
Actually, 28,
28?
and I'm glad you brought that up, because, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Young, but the plan is once a year to have a benefit fundraiser for Robert Johnson's fund
Yes, that's in May.
in May, once a year, so there will be one day where there'll be a lot of cars there. But the amount of volume that they anticipate for the museum use, take out the 5 spaces for the occupants, that leaves 23 spaces. I don't think that, I mean, we all love the fire department, but I don't think you're gonna get that many at the same time.
This is all shared parking with Cold Brook though, correct?
Correct.
So, my only other question was, it looks like the accessible parking spaces are all over by the Cold Brook entrance. Are the ones in front anticipated to be, are you anticipating having any kind of handicapped or accessible spaces closer to the building? Or are those sufficient to meet the code requirements?
I think maybe it didn't show up on that plan, but right where our stairwell is, on either side of that was 2 handicap spots.
So are those the 3 that are?
There's
like
3
right
in the front for the apartments up above.
Yep.
That way,
Those are the apartment spaces?
yeah, they're being used for the apartments up above. And then I believe on the plan, I had thought that there was a handicap or 2 right where our second floor stairwell is, right where that lower back half of the station is, the back half, there was handicap parking there.
I don't,
On the south side?
On the south side, yep.
don't see it.
There's one here.
I see.
There's
well,
one right
I
there,
see-
yep.
I see cross-hatching. So.
There's like a little handicap wheelchair
Oh, they're there.
in the plan.
There's 3.
And there's 3 more below that.
There's 3 more on the
Right,
other
so
south side for,
Those are the
Those are by the trailhead.
yes.
And then, so these other 2 up here are for the museum, okay?
Looks like 3, one at the end and then the 2 cross hatches.
Yeah, I don't know if that's 1 or 2, I can't tell.
Okay.
It might be for a van or something.
Okay. Other questions, Mayor?
I'm good for now.
Anybody else on the board? Questions or comments?
Question on the apartments, are they market-based apartments, or are they going to be for fire staff, or, you know?
We're hoping to help out with police, fire, traveling nurses, anybody that gets hired in the town
So
for,
workforce?
for workforce housing, to help them out, get them on their feet and, you know, get them settled in here, and then see if they can't save a little bit of money to put a down payment on a home.
Okay, so
Which
they're
is-
really workforce housing?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I do know that there was one question, if you don't mind if I talk for a moment. There was a question too about the lighting in the parking lot. There's not gonna be any light poles like a Shaw supermarket. I know for like the neighborhoods, if there's gonna be any light emitting off the property, it's all gonna be bollards and low lights. We don't expect this to be really open at night for the museum, but I know that the people using the walking trails even now, they're coming off and it's dark, but we'd like to have lighting for the parking spaces so that they can get back to their cars safely.
And you have, if I recall, when I was down there the other day, you have lights along the south wall between the
Correct.
windows.
Yeah, there's 5 on the south wall.
Okay, good. Other questions, members of the board? Members of the public? Comments or questions? If you would come to the podium and state your name.
Good evening. Carla Burke, 200 Bank Street. First, I just want to say my husband David and I are amazed at the work that's been done to the building. We truly think this is going to be an asset for the neighborhood and for the town. I just had a couple of questions, one of which was somewhat answered just now, and I don't even know if this is the appropriate place to ask them. But the first was about the lighting. We were just concerned that it would be contained within the border of the property and not outside the property lines. And also, you say it's a low light, warm light. I just wanted to make sure is it LED, what the color temperature in Kelvin is of those lights? If anyone has that answer.
I'll stand next to you.
Hi,
Hey, Joe Rigo, Harwich Fire Association.
thank you.
It'll be 2,700 Kelvin, LED filament bulbs in copper lanterns.
Excellent, thank you, because I have heard that over 3,000 can be detrimental to health and sleep and so forth.
We wouldn't go over 3,000. And then, depending on the situation of the area, we could make less wattage. And with the parking lot project, we anticipate some trees for shielding from other properties.
Thank you.
You're
The other question just mainly has to do with the use of the building. Has any thought been given to the hours that the museum, the meeting house, the meeting room will be used? Because there are concerns that it might be, if it's too late in the evening, it could be disruptive to the neighborhood in terms of sleeping and so forth.
I don't think our use is gonna go past 6 o'clock at night,
Okay,
unless we have,
special,
there is one night a year that we have a fire association dinner meeting, but that's usually over by 9 o'clock.
thank you.
And if we're making too much noise at 9 o'clock, you're more than happy to come across and have dinner with us.
Yeah, I was gonna say, join
Might
us.
just do that. Thank you so much. Again, we just think it's wonderful, a great project, and we really support it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please.
Good evening. My name is Bob Dugan. I live at 204 Bank Street. I have a question for the board. This is being approved as 2 special permits for 2 separate uses, correct?
That's
We have a special permit for the use R2 residential on the 2nd floor, and we have an A3, this is building full disclosure, I'm the Deputy Building Commissioner for the town of Walpole, and I live right across the street. So I know zoning, I do zoning, and I'm just a little curious as to why this isn't being considered a mixed-use building.
Attorney Crowell?
If I could get, with all due respect to Attorney Kroll, I'd rather not have my answer from the applicant. I'd rather have it from the board or the chairman.
We don't have planning staff present, so you're either going to get it from Attorney Kroll or you're going to get it from council at a later date, so.
Can I get an opinion from town council as
You
to?
cannot get an opinion. If we choose that we want an opinion, we can,
Okay.
the board can ask.
Very good.
But we can't render, we can't give you the
Okay.
legal guidance
Can,
on that.
can I
right now.
request that?
You certainly have through the public
Okay.
hearing,
Okay.
and then we can consider it.
All right. Because the use table clearly denotes that mixed use is not allowed in RR and RL. You can, by special permit, if the building only had one use of residential, go for a special permit for a multifamily. They could also, the museum use, the nonprofit, is also, zoning relief is available through special permit on that as well. I'm not understanding why the application isn't being filed as an Article 10 mixed use, when it clearly is a mixed-use building.
The applicant can tell you why the applicant applied that way.
Okay, he can answer my question if he wants, but I still would
That's-
respectfully.
Again, you're at a public hearing, so it's.
understand. I
Up to
still-
our chair to make that decision.
Okay. Attorney Kroll?
Attorney?
Thank you. Chair, I looked at that, we considered it. However, for mixed use is commercial and residential, and it's not allowed in these zones. But we're not commercial. We're nonprofit, educational, museum, historical, educational use. So in my opinion, that's not a mixed use. It's not commercial, which is what the bylaw talks about, commercial and residential. That's not us. That's not what we're doing. There's nothing in this bylaw that I could find or that I'm aware of that says you cannot have this combination in the same structure of nonprofit educational and multifamily. It's not in there. So that's why we presented the petition the way we did.
And
Thank you, Counselor.
in the performance of my duties daily as a zoning enforcement official, I have to regularly deny permits for uses that are not enumerated within a use table. So if something isn't either protected by Mass General Law and codified as part of Chapter 40A, and it's not in a use table granted by the zoning of the town, it is therefore disallowed. This is enumerated in the use table, and there is no definition within the zoning bylaw anywhere that explains what a mixed-use building is. It basically is just a building that has multiple uses.
With all due respect, that decision would be made by our building commissioner,
Okay?
right? So when they go to apply for a building permit, if he tells them that's the case, then they would have an appeal to the zoning board of appeals and
Okay.
on that denial.
Very good. I just want to be clear, I have no animus towards the Firemen's Association or what's taking place across the street. What I don't want to happen is somebody to appeal this and then come back and these gentlemen have to give up the property to somebody else because it was misfiled. I think this should be done through a variance. Attorney Kroll doesn't think it probably needs to go through being a variance, probably because the bar is set so high to grant a variance. It'd be awful tough to kind of prove hardship when you're creating the hardship. That's it. Thank you.
Counselor?
Yeah, thank you. with all due respect to the previous speaker, I did meet with the town planner. We did meet with the town planner and the building commissioner, town planner at the time, but the present building commissioner indicated that he did not have a problem with submitting this petition the way I was submitting it. Number one. Number two, the museum educational historical use is in our table of uses. It is allowed by special permit, can be allowed by special permit from this board. The multifamily use is in our table of uses, and it can be allowed by special permit from this board. So as far as I'm concerned, it is allowed, it is in the table of uses, and this board can vote to grant these special permits. It's up to you whether you want to spend the money, time and the money on an opinion from town council, but as Ms. Maslowski said, it's really up to the this board and the building commissioner, with the interpretation of the zoning bylaw. I respect the previous speaker's statement that we don't want to have this decision appealed. Since, assuming there's nobody else that's going to speak this evening, I don't know who would appeal it other than the previous speaker, but he said he has no misgivings, I'm not using the right word, about concerning the Howard Fire Association or this petition. So obviously, the Fire Association has made a decision, with my advice, to go forward on this basis and take their chances as far as any appeal might be concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other comments from the public? Yes, sir.
I'm Dennis Najarian, and I came here in Harwich. I've been coming down for, I don't know if it was 1981 or 82, and I've been coming onto Bank Street since that time. And the traffic there has picked up a lot. I can tell you that because just driving in and out of it. And I think I'd like to see something done just to have a traffic study there, because I come out of Pine Knoll Road, and it's not easy. You know, there's enough going there, and I don't know having a lot of other cars coming out. Because when the fire trucks came out, you know, they have the sirens going and bells and horns and everything else so people can know. But I drove in there the other day into the area, and when I came out, I could barely see down to the south. Now, that may be able to be corrected, cutting a couple of trees down or something in the way. But people come by there, and I think the speed limit's 35, and you don't have really that much vision to see past there for the people coming up north. So I'd like to see something a little more than just, well, you know, we don't have, you know, the as bad as it was when everybody came when it was a volunteer fire department. But I can tell you that it's a lot more traffic than it was back in the early 80s. And I've been here every summer since then. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments. I don't see the need for a traffic study because based on the testimony that I've heard so far, it sounds like the usage on a daily, regular basis for the structure would be only the tenants that live there, probably leaving in the morning and coming back at night. The people that are currently using the conservation area are currently using the conservation area. The numbers of use may increase as they continue with the Coldbrook project. But I don't see the need for us to consider what is before us to be held up for a traffic study. My opinion only. I don't speak for the board. If others have comments or other questions based on the testimony we've heard from the public, I welcome.
I have a comment, if I may. I was part of the hearing last summer for the new business complex in downtown Howardsport across from Cumberland Farms. and they were talking about a traffic study, et cetera. And these days, it not only takes forever to get a traffic study, but it costs a fortune to get it. And in this particular situation, I would agree with the chair's comment.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions of the board? Any questions from the public? Are we ready for a vote? Looks like we are. We got a
So-
motion on the special.
So, is everybody fine, or did anybody want an opinion? It was raised, I'm just asking.
I'm fine.
Anyone?
I am as well. I'm fine.
So then I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So first, I would move that we adopt the following finding of facts, and I think these are gonna be relevant for all, I'm gonna say 3 special permits, council, if that makes sense, the site plan plus the educational and the mixed.
Multifamily.
Multifamily. So, this is case PB 2023 -25, Harwich Fire Association, 2 special permits and a site plan special permit. The applicant is Harwich Fire Association, Inc. The landowner is the Harwich Fire Association, Inc. Applicant's representative is Attorney William Kroll. The location is 203 Bank Street, Harwich, Mass. Assessors map 25, lot B3. The property is located in the residential rural and the residential low density districts, as it's a split lot. The development type is change of use. The lot area is 10,890 square feet. The project area is, the project size is a first floor, 3,570.25 square feet, a second floor of 2,174.25 square feet, and increasing the parking areas, parking spaces to a total of 28. Project description, the Harwich Fire Association is proposing to convert former firehouse into multi-use property with a museum educational use on the first floor and 3 apartments on the second floor. The applicant has applied for 2 use special permits pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, Section 325-51, Table of Uses, 1 being a public and quasi-public use, 2 being a residential use, and then has also applied for a site plan review special permit pursuant to Section 325-55. Public hearing was held today, August 22nd, 2023. The application documents include Form 1, Form A, and narrative, 2, a site plan by Paul Sweetser, PLS, dated 9/16/21, 3, a site plan from Harwich, A&R, dated 1/21/55, 4, an existing conditions plan of land by Paul Sweetser, dated 7/20/23, 5, an existing conditions plan of land focus scale by Paul Sweetser, dated 7/20/23, 6, a preliminary parking design plan by BSC Group, dated 2/24/23, 7, a preliminary landscape plan by BSC Group, dated 2/24/23, 8, a locus map, 9, an elevation concept drawings and floor plans, pages P1 through P8, dated 6/11/23, 10, a request for waiver of drainage stormwater plans, 11, a butters application, and 12, the requisite filing fee. The board further finds that the educational, nonprofit educational use, nor the multifamily use will not adversely affect the neighborhood. This specific site is an appropriate location for both uses, structures, and conditions. C, there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians, and that adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the use.
last sentence of D, provision of appropriate sewage treatment.
I just did it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't hear that part. Okay,
Yes.
can I get a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Thank you, Mary.
May I ask a clarification, though? The waiver is only applicable to the site plan, correct?
Yes,
Thank you.
you're taking 2 votes for 2 special
I'm
permits?
taking 2 votes for 2 special permits. 4, and then a site plan special permit will
Right.
be the 3rd. So I move that we approve a site plan, I move that we approve a special permit for an educational nonprofit use, and a, yeah, we'll just do them separately, subject to the following conditions.
Point of order, I'm not clear on what the previous vote was for then.
It was the findings of fact.
Thank you.
That the special permit shall not, subject to the following conditions, including, 1, that the special permit shall not take effect until a copy of the decision bearing the certification of the town clerk that 20 days have elapsed after the filing of the decision, and either that no appeal has been filed or that an appeal has been filed within such time period is recorded at the registry of deeds and indexed under the name of the property owner. 2, that the special permit shall lapse within 2 years, which shall not include such time required to pursue or await determination of an appeal referred to in General Law, Chapter 48, Section 17, from the grant thereof, if a substantial use thereof has not sooner commenced, except for good cause, in the case of a permit for construction, if construction is not begun by such date, except for good cause. 3, the proposed use special permit shall operate in conformance with the submitted plans and application statements referenced in this decision, and the special permit will run with the land. Conditions of approval shall be binding on it and all future owners.
Okay. A second?
Second.
A second. Motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Unanimous?
So I move that we approve a use special permit for multifamily use, subject, based on the previous findings of fact and the following draft conditions. 1, that the special permit shall not take effect until a copy of the decision bearing the certification of the town clerk that 20 days have elapsed after the filing of the decision, and that either no appeal has been filed or that an appeal has been filed within such time period, and that said decision is recorded at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds and indexed under the name of the property owner of record and the parcel address. 2, that the special permit shall lapse within 2 years, which shall not include such time required to pursue or await the determination of an appeal referred to in General Law, Chapter 48, Section 17, from a grant thereof, if substantial use thereof has not sooner commenced except for good cause, or in the case of a permit for construction, if construction has not begun by such date except for good cause. 3, that the proposed uses shall operate in conformance with the submitted site plan and application statements referenced in the decision. And 4, that the site special permit will run with the land. Conditions of approval shall be binding on all future owners.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous?
So I move that we grant the following waiver from the strict interpretation of the stormwater calculations requirement for the site plan special permit.
Is the Board of Selectmen require that, or Select Board?
So I believe we have the right to waive it.
Okay. They don't have to see it then? Doesn't have
That
to
is
go
my
before
understanding.
them. Okay. So a motion and a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.
And then I would move that we
Site plan,
grant
special
a
permit,
site plan special permit
parking.
to, for the expansion of the existing parking lot, and the expansion of the use into the educational, nonprofit use and the multifamily use from 7 to 28 in accordance with the plans submitted, and that it be granted with the same conditions as approved on the prior two special permits.
Thank you. Motion and a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. And we have a site plan waiver? Or did we do that?
I think we did them all,
Okay.
right? We
Yep.
did.
Before the last vote, you took a vote on the waiver from
On the
storm
waiver, from the stormwater drainage.
and drainage.
So it was 2 use special permits. It was the findings of fact for all 3. It was 2 use special permits, the waiver, and then the site plan special permit.
Does it? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great project. Good luck.
Thank you.
It looks great. It really does. You
does.
guys have done a lot of
You
work
guys doing a
quickly.
super job.
Yeah. Just get the doors on the front of it. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Thank you.
You have enough paper, Bill?
I do. Yep. They asked me that, and I said, well, this one's a fake.
You're getting your exercise in, Bill. That's all.
You do.
Thank you,
Wait,
Counselor.
lifting. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next case, in the public meeting is PB 2023-26. Susan D. Peterson, through her agent Tom Stello, PLS, is requesting an endorsement of an application for a 2-lot approval not required A&R division plan of land. Application is pursuant to Chapter 41, Section 81T of the Mass General Laws, property located at 21 and 29 Oliver Snow Road, map 24, parcels E2 and E2-1 in the residential rural RR zoning district.
Tom Stello, TS Land Surveying, here to represent the applicant Susan Peterson, who is in the audience behind me. So what we are proposing is a reconfiguration of the lot lines. Currently, there is a vacant lot and a large lot with 3 buildings on it, and we're proposing to reconfigure the lot lines to create a larger vacant lot and to have all the 3 buildings remain on one single lot. It has frontage on Oliver Snow Road, which is a public way. We do meet the requirements for frontage, lot area, and when combined with unregistered lots, we'd make the shape number factor, which is required for building purposes. And I should point out, this property contains both registered land court property and unregistered land. And there's 2 plans in front of you. One is to be submitted to land court, and the other is to be recorded at the registry of deeds. We did file 2 applications, Form B1 applications, one for the registered lots and one for the unregistered. I assume there's no legalities, you don't have any hearing for both simultaneously, or we have to do one each, or, so, just want to point that out. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Shayla, anything from the planning department?
Okay, you all received the staff review. They were looking for an approval not required for the reconfiguration of the properties, 1 property into 2.
It's actually 2 properties
properties.
into 2.
Okay, into 2
Yep,
with
there's 2
different
existing, and we're gonna
contiguous
have 2
lots. Sorry.
proposed, we're not gonna have a,
Reconfigured.
yep.
Oliver Snow has been a public way, which is one of the things that needs to be proven. It's been, I found that it was approved on March 5th, 1969, and is recorded with the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds with a particular number. They are in the RR district and provide 150 linear feet of frontage and the 40,000 square feet per lot. Was a little odd to look at it to see about the combining of the registered and non-registered lands in the pieces that you can see on the two plot plans here. These are the pieces, one will go here and one will go with that one to make the proper shape number.
So we can't actually combine them. It's not legal apparently to combine registered land with unregistered land, so they're gonna be held in common ownership. And those are the two parcels in the rear. You know, each one of those parcels will be held in common ownership with the land court parcels, the land court lots in the front.
So in order to endorse the A&R, the board needs to determine that the plans submitted do not show a subdivision, so defined under the relevant law, and as such, the applicant's request warrants endorsement that the plan does not require subdivision approval. Once you review all the materials, you can deliberate and make a determination that you can vote on that, or you can file a continuance for the next meeting. You see the recommended motions.
Thank you.
And just both plans, they should be identical, but land court did ask us to remove all the unregistered information. Apparently they don't want to see it on their plans anymore, so they made it difficult. And so, but other than that, they should be the same, more or less.
I wondered why they,
So I'm assuming you're,
yeah.
Yeah, there's a revision note on there. I had to put a revision note, but you know, it's just, it's land court for you. So.
Questions from the board or comments? Anyone? Going once, twice, three times. Sounds like no. Ready for a vote? It's an A&R.
I move that we endorse the A&R plan, the two A&R plans, both for recorded land and registered land before us.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you have the milers for Sheila to
We
sign?
do, right here.
You got them?
Yeah, you want me to just pick them up tomorrow or next week?
You could probably leave with them now if we get
We'll
signatures.
sign them now, if she's
Want
got
to sign
pens.
them? Okay, that's fine.
Let me run over and get the proper pen. I'll put them here. They're just two the same. Do you need both to be originals, Tom?
Why don't you, Sheila, just send them this way, we'll just pass them along.
Sorry, Sheila.
Do you need two signed originals? I have two.
We just need the pens.
Yeah, I'll take as many as you can.
All right.
Does this require a special?
Yeah, it requires the black pen.
She disappeared. Take a recess.
Yeah, if you want. You wanna call a recess for 5 minutes, you can do that.
Yeah.
You just have to say it.
We're going to call a recess for 5 minutes so Shayla can, oh, she's back, and Alan will be back shortly.
It has to be signed with this.
Thank you. Got it. Thank you. And upside down. Watch me sign my name that way.
Yeah.
Today's the 22nd, right?
Yes,
It is all day.
I should get another pen and make it more.
paper copies for us to sign?
I don't, I'm gonna make a paper copy out of that.
Okay.
Alan needs yours.
I'm sorry.
Alan needs yours.
Alan, you're next. Coming this way?
I haven't seen him yet, no.
Yep, I was gonna say. I'll try to put you guys on the spot.
Thank you.
Way too long to warm up.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Let it dry a moment.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be back from recess. Our next case is PB 2023-28, True North Realty Trust, Catherine Slater, trustee through its agent David Little. GLS of Ryder and Wilcox LLC is requesting an endorsement of an application for two-lot approval not requiring A&R division plan in hand. Application is pursuant to Chapter 41, Section 81T of the Mass General Laws. Property is located at 339 Queen Anne Road, map 59, parcel P3 in the rural medium density RM zoning district.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. David Little from Ryder and Wilcox. I'm representing Catherine Slater, the trustee of True North Realty Trust. She has a very successful horse farm on Queen Anne Road that she is hoping to sell to the people that use the people that have the horses that board them. And so what we're proposing is a two-lot A&R. Her lot, it is 40,300 square feet, which she intends to keep. The remaining lot is 5.64 acres, and we're keeping that acreage to maintain the ability for farm status for the stable. Both lots comply with the shape factor requirement. They contain the minimum lot area, the minimum of 150 feet of frontage, and Queen Anne Road is a public way. And that being said, I'll open myself up to any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Sheila, anything from the planning board?
Hold on a moment, hold on.
Excuse me.
If you'll notice on the plan, we're proposing two easements. One of them is a use easement for the farm itself, so they can continue to use the outdoor riding arena. And then there's also an access easement for the benefit of the dwelling and the garage that are shown on the plan. Thank you.
Okay, again, an A&R requires that you find that this does not represent a subdivision according to the code. There is 150 linear feet for both of these proposed lots on Queen Anne Road, which is clearly a public road. I couldn't find, it's been there for more than 100 years, but I couldn't find the actual beginning of the history on Queen Anne Road. It is an RM district. They require 40,000 square feet of land per, and they have that. Again, just recommend that you listen to all of the testimony and make a determination as to whether or not this represents a subdivision or whether you can endorse the A&R. I have recommended motions on there as well.
Thank you. I would ask if there are any comments or questions from the board. Harry?
I'm looking at this plot plan. I see Lot 1 labeled. I don't see a label on Lot 2, but I assume that's everything else. which stretches all the way back by, lot two, okay, all right, so lot one, lot two.
Thank you.
Mayor, how does lot two have access on Queen Anne Road?
There, if you look up at the,
Oh, I see,
on
that's the
Queen
lake.
Anne, there's a parking area and access that comes in just to the west of the riding arena.
Okay, so it's, lot two is, okay, I'm seeing it. Lot two is everything else except lot one.
Yes, sir.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Anybody else from the board? Nobody here at the public, nobody online? So I would ask if we could have a motion.
Give me a second.
I'm sorry?
Just give me a second to find what I'm looking for.
Okay. Again, it's an A&R plan.
Do you need the proposed motion?
I got it right here. So I move that the planning board, finds, that the division plan entitled, Plan of Land situated in Howard, Mass, prepared for True North Realty Trust, Captain Slater trustee, by Ryder Wilcox Inc., dated 6/26/23, does not depict subdivision, that the, it meets all the requisite requirements for an approval not required plan, that the board endorse the plan as not requiring approval under the subdivision control law.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I also have yours here.
Great.
Everyone sign.
That would be great, thank you.
But I will have to make a copy of it with the signatures.
I'm
So,
in-
so by
I
sometime
don't,
later.
I don't need to take it with me this evening, so I'm,
Right. It's just easier than getting in touch with everybody and saying, can you all come by and sign?
have a nice evening.
Thank you. You too.
Do we sign it?
Yeah.
Is there a reason you can't use these? Oh, yeah, I just got.
While we're signing,
Do you want the date on here?
Yes, please. Exactly. In addition, I have, that did not need to be on the agenda. We approved this last meeting. It was the release, the covenant release for Chloe's Path. I just need your signatures on that form, so I will send that around as well. It doesn't need a special pen. I have attached covenants, so you see what you're releasing. All right? Give a pen.
That's from last meeting? That was last meeting.
Release from the last.
Am
I able to sign that?
Right
you-
here.
I think it just says the below being a majority of the board.
Okay.
There you go.
thank you.
Pass the pen too. Crisscross.
Okay. oh. The next item on the agenda is new business approval of minutes of August 8th, 2023.
I move that we adopt the minutes from August 8th, 2023.
And a second.
Second. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We are
I have
set.
I have a question.
Sure.
Just in terms of scheduling, since we moved something to September 12th again, and that agenda looks like it will go on till midnight, so,
So we have, the agenda will show that the September 12th meeting will have Wacquasit on it, which is being heard by the zoning board of appeals tomorrow night. And the, but we have further, I think, condensation towards what you need to vote on. And then with, the same with Oliver Homes,
True, but we added to that tonight.
and it'll be Stonehorse.
Stonehorse, yeah.
That's a
Those are-
significant meeting.
Those are the only three, and we have nothing new.
Will Eastward be on, Eastward's past
Eastward
that, right?
I'm sorry?
The
Eastward.
Eastward one?
Eastwood was the 26th. I
Oh,
think.
that's the second.
Exactly.
They asked for the
Right,
26th.
yeah.
So you think we can manage it on the 12th?
We don't really have a choice.
Okay,
Yep.
just checking.
To me,
'Cause
it
we put-
doesn't-
We put Stonehorse on the 12th.
Put the coffee on.
I feel like everything's kind of condensing into, I mean, who knows?
That's 2.5 weeks away, anything could happen. Thank you, Sharon. Oh, is this one?
Okay.
Anyone want to speak about the Dropbox? Is that working?
Yeah, I love it.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's working well.
Sorry if I repeated a couple of times.
Just one suggestion, it'd be
Sure,
easier to find
please.
folders if it was the same reference number, as the name of the folder was the case number.
Okay. Got it.
Just for the mentally challenged.
Okay, any other business before the board? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.